everybody? Lord Tremendous here. Got a battle report here for you. Battle report number 38. 'Tis I, Lord Tremendous of the Ogre Khans versus Gnome Runner of the Vermin Sworm. Yep, this is my rodent rival. I think I like that. Rodent rival, Gnome Runner. And he decided that he was entirely too good to use every aspect of his list. The list that he brought is 100% combat. There's no shooting. There is some magic, but that's it. He's got a Vermin Swarm list with no shooting. Apparently, he's been kicking so much ass lately, including my own, that he believes he can do it without any kind of vermin shooting whatsoever. So, knowing this, we go into it. I'm playing my current list. And we sit down to beat the ever-loving crap out of each other, and the results are staggering. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to see how this one goes. Here's my list, and I don't believe there are any changes from the last one. I've still got my Lord, my Great Shaman, Skaven and AZ. He's a level 4 wizard. He's got the Demon Heart. He's got the Talisman of Greater Shielding, Charm of Cursed Iron, and the Path of Heavens. Yeah, I think I even used the Path of Heavens last game, but either way, Path of Heavens, all the awesome, and I like this kit. Next up are my hero choices. I start off with my Khan Berserk. He's my general. He's got the Kingslayer, Hardened Shield, Gem of Dragonfire, Troll Eater, and yeah, he's stupid, but he's dangerous, and that's the way I like my generals. Next up, I have my second Khan. He's my BSV. He's got the Flesh Render. He's got Mithril Mail. He's got the Talisman of Lesser Shielding. That's all he needs to kick ass and take names. And then I've got the baddest of badasses, my Mammoth Hunter, Lord Tremendous. He's got his Ogre Crossbow, he's got an Iron Fist, he's got the Armor of Fortune, the Lucky Charm, the Oroc's Charm, he's got the Headhunter Big Name, and he's on his trusty Tusker the War Teddy. This guy charges you, just pick up the unit. Next up are my core choices. I've got my unit of 7 tribesmen, the good old boys. They've got Banner, Musician, Iron Fist, and the Banner of Discipline. Then I've got my second unit of 7 tribesmen, Skaz's Spazzes, full command, Iron Fist, and that's all they need. Then I've got a unit of 15 Scraplings, the Cheapskates with Banner and Short Bows, and a second unit of 15 Scraplings with Banner and Short Bows. Starting off my special choices, I have a Saber-Toothed Tiger, or as I affectionately call him, Bow Wowzer. Then I have a unit of 5 Scrapling Trappers, my favored pets. And then I have a unit of 5 Mercenary Veterans, the Corpulent Bastards, with Banner, Musician, Iron Fist, Lethal Strike, Bodyguard, and they have the Stalker Standard. For my final special choice, I have a unit of 4 Bombardiers with a Musician. So kicking off my rare choices, I have my Thunder Cannon. And then, of course, the keystone foundation of my army, my Frost Mammoth, Rufus. He's got a couple of Ogre Crossbows, but if this guy's on the table, you've already lost. Alright, that's going to do it for my list. I'm going to post my opponent's list next, play some music. Feel free to pause it whenever you need to in order to see what he took. So here's my spells, and they're exactly what you're looking at. And here are Gnome Runner spells, which are exactly what you're looking at. And here's deployment. Okay, so I got to throw everything down first, and so my Bombardier's over there on the left flank. The idea there was to swing him around unless he put something over there, because I didn't really know exactly what he took. He did tell me that it was an all-combat list, and he was excited to try it out, and that it's been working for him. I don't know. I was a little shocked. So I put my bombardiers on the left flank, thinking that it was going to probably group everything up in the center or on one of the flanks, and my bombardiers could either run over there or just guard my flank. I didn't really know either way. I put my scraplings right there, a unit of them, right on the forest there, just to back up the bombardiers, maybe even run chaff if I had to. I got the good old boys and the general on the left side there. That rocky hill in the middle of the table there, that's impassable terrain. Everything else is pretty much exactly what it looks like, hills or forests, with the ruins in the back left there. And then in the middle there, I've got my Merc Vets with my BSB. I've got Rufus behind them. I've got Skaz and his Spazzes on the hilltop. I've got my Trappers kind of out in the middle there. I want to get him into that forest to cause some dangerous terrains because he's got a lot of models on the table, and I'd love to get him to roll some DT checks. I got the Cheapskates right next to Lord Tremendous. They're doing the same thing on the right flank, just kind of protecting it to the best of their ability because I really didn't know where he was going to deploy. And then I've got my Thunder Cannon on the hill, so he's just got all the fun in the world. With his placement, my opponent was smart and put his Abomination all the way over there on the left flank, so he's out of range. So really, in a list against a list like this, my cannon is mainly just going to take out trivial infantry to the best of his ability. As you can see in the middle there, or on his side, he's got his Abomination on the left flank. He's got a unit of slaves, and then in front of them, I think, are Rat-at-Arms with clan rats or whatever they're called now behind them with a bell. Next to them is another unit of slaves, and then on the right flank there is a furnace with plague rats. They're plague ridden, something. But yeah, they're the like really tough rats or whatever that are all diseased and stuff. They're pestilent rats. What can I tell you? But he's got characters in there too. He's got a big character on a war platform on that big middle unit there. He's got a Magister on the bell. He's got Ratman in there somewhere. He's got a lot of combat goodies, but as you can see, not one weapons team, not one artillery piece, not even a dread mill. So I'm not as afraid of this list as I was if he had all that stuff. So let's see how it goes. So here's top of one after movement, and there's a little bit. My Bombardiers move up just to 6 inches so they can shoot at the Abomination. Why the hell not? My Scraplings do the same. I only move, well, not 6 inches. They move up 4 inches so they can try to shoot the Abomination too, because any wounds I can do to this thing would be good. My General and his good old boys, they only move up about 6 inches into the forest because I don't want to catch a flank of the Abomination on me or anything like that. But at the same time, he's got to come down that bottleneck with those slaves eventually, so the sooner I get into combat with them, the better, because it's not like he's going to be shooting at me. My BSB Merc unit, they use the impassable terrain on the left there to cover their flank, and they turn because I don't know where he's going. My Trappers dive into the forest, trapping it immediately, which is excellent. Rufus and Skaz's Spazzes move up down the hill, or move down the hill, or move up the hill, however you want to call it. Just a little bit because I want to try out the Lore of Heaven stuff. I'm not overly familiar with it. I want to see what's good and what's not, and if I even like it. And then, of course, the Cheapskates and Tremendous move up just enough to get them up to their max movement value so I can still shoot. And my Thunder Cannon stays put because it's just going to kill infantry one way or the other. That's it for movement. During the magic phase, I get Thunderbolt off on whatever these guys are, Rat-at-Arms or something like that, or I don't know. They're elite fighting rats, and I'm able to kill 4 of them. So hey, you know what? 4 out of 50 is something, right? It's got to start somewhere. And then in the shooting phase, I kill a couple of slaves with the trappers. It's nothing huge. And then Lord Tremendous is able to shoot a couple of these guys, skewer them with his ogre crossbow. I think my cannon kills a few more of those Rat-at-Arms. I mean, it's true. I think about 10 rats die in combined magic and shooting. It's not a big deal. With that all she wrote, we go over here to bottom of one after movement. And as you can see, the Abomination fired forward. I'm glad that my Bombardiers stayed modestly back, I guess. His slaves on the left flank there, our left flank, didn't move at all. His big horde unit kind of moves up a little bit with the bell right behind it. The slaves move into the forest, but not any faster than a regular movement, so they don't have to worry about DTs. The furnace on the right flank starts moving towards Lord Tremendous, and that is about it. Everything he has is just looking for a fight. It's very strange to me, you know. I don't know what's going on anymore, but. I'm not overly concerned about his movement. The fact that his furnace came up over to the hill there. Lord Tremendous has movement 16. I'm going to shoot him around onto the side there and hope for a flank or a rear charge on that thing and just keep it there all game. Or I'll feed him my Scrapling. Sorry, cheapskates. You're cheap for a reason. So that's really it for movement. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, that big unit of fighter guys, they charged Bow Wowser, who fled because I didn't feel like giving him that far. I didn't want to spread him out that much. There was no reason to hurry up or anything like that. So I backed him off, and Bow Wowser fled. Goes through Skaz's Spazzes. I think he missed Rufus, but he ends up right there. You can see at the bottom of the screen, and that's it. He does not rally and ends up fleeing off the table. So, spoilers. During the magic phase, my opponent was not pleased with the spells that he rolled, but one of them did a bunch of wounds to my trappers, killing all but one of them. Or, I'm sorry, killing all but two of them. He kills three. But the funny part is the crazy, stubborn bastards make their leadership check on their own leadership and don't go away. It's absolutely amazing. Scraplings are the most reliable unit in the damn game. Now, you might be wondering why I let that spell go off. Well, my opponent cast it with 3 dice and ended up miscasting on the chart, and I wanted to see what he was going to roll. And he rolls a miscast 4. And as you can see, the big old pie plate gets centered over the magistrate and hits a bunch of those little rats. I think it was somewhere around 30. I am not 100% on that, but it was a ton, and I only needed 2s to wound. After the smoke clears, like 20 of these guys die. Over 20 of them die. It was insane. I mean, look at the difference. That unit is just mulched. And granted, it wasn't a huge combat threat or anything like that. I'm thrilled that that unit was cut in half, and I had to do nothing to have it happen. He has no shooting and there is no combat, so we go over here to top of 2 after movement. And yeah, my bombardiers back up a few inches. That's all they can do. My scraplings just kind of wheel a little bit to have a better shot at the abomination because not everybody could see. The good old boys of my general, I turn to face the abomination. The way I see it, the abomination is going to charge either my bombardiers or my scraplings. And either way, I've got to countercharge this thing while I still can. So, since the only thing my general's unit's going to get into at this point is the slaves, I don't care much about them. And I don't care about exposing my flank to them because if they charge in, I'm going to mulch them, turn and face them, and at least be able to kill them in a turn or two. So, either way, it's win. It just sucks that I'm about to lose my bombardiers unless some sort of miracle happens. In the middle there, I don't really move a whole lot because I'm baiting my opponent. If you look in the middle, you can see my 2 remaining trappers running out to fire their shots at that middle unit there with his warlord or whatever he is with the doom blade. And the plan here is this: during his magic phase, I believe he got a super frenzy spell off, which caused a little damage to the unit at the end of the phase. But that reminded me that those guys are frenzied. So if I can get him to charge my trappers, then awesome. He's got to overrun, and my Merc Vets are in perfect position to hit him in the flank of that big, scary unit. And if I can do that, he wouldn't be steadfast, and there's a really good chance I could break him because my Merc Vets are meat grinders, meat blenders. That sounds dirty. So anyway, that was the plan there. So the way I see it is either A, he charges my trappers, overruns, and gets countercharged by my Merc Vets in the flank, which would be amazing. B, he charges them with his slaves, and whatever, now his slaves are blocking the way for everything, and it's a huge traffic jam for me to tear apart at my leisure. Or 3, he sits there and tries to take them out with magic, but he has no shooting to deal with my trappers. So a 40-point unit is going to stop stop half of his army from doing anything one way or the other, and that's huge to me. So everything just kind of hangs back to see what he's going to do. The Bow Wowser continues to flee. Like I said, he'll flee off the table before the game. Well, he never rallies. It's sad. And then Lord Tremendous does exactly what I said. He flies up onto the hill out of his charge arc, and I wait. I wait to see what he's going to do with that furnace because I either want the flank or the rear of that thing more than anything. That is it for movement. During the magic phase, I get Thunderbolt off on this unit again. I kill 6 this time, which is quite nice. Just whittling them down. The more I kill in magic, the fewer I have to worry about in combat. Unfortunately for me, I end up overwhelming powering the damn spell on 3 dice, and I miscast 4. The way I see it, I owed him 1. So yeah, big old pie plate over Skaz's head. Doesn't turn out to be a big deal, though. It's only a strength 5 hit. He needed 3s, and luckily for me, he rolled really low. Only 1 guy takes a wound. Skaz is fine. Only 1 wound goes into the unit. I'm not upset about that at all. I guess Skaz just felt guilty for killing some of his vermin brethren. He's got to get over that. He plays for the A-team now. Then in the shooting phase, the Bombardiers and the Scraplings fire away at the Abomination, and I do a bunch of wounds, but he's able to just regen all of them because none of it's flaming, with the exception of, I think, 1 wound that was done to him by the Scrapling. So he's carrying a wound, and I'll take it. So with still no combat, we go over here to bottom of 2 after movement, and we has some combat. So the Abomination goes straight for the Bombardiers and is 1 inch shy of hitting them. Man, did I get lucky. I am very happy I backed up. So yeah, the Abomination just misses the Bombardiers, so that gives me a chance. The way I see it, I'm going to charge the Scraplings and the General into the Abomination in the flank, and hopefully it's enough because the General can't get past the unit without the Scraplings being out of the way, so I'm hoping the Scraplings don't give up too much combat res. We'll see. Well, I know what happens. You don't. You'll see. It's really fun. But anyway, his unit of slaves come flying forward because they see the flank of my general's unit, and I don't know what he was thinking. I'll happily take that charge. His big unit in the middle there, take the bait. They charge the trappers. The trappers stand and shoot and aren't able to kill anything, which is fine. Their sacrifice is about to buy me that entire unit. His other unit of slaves moves into the forest, whoop-de-doo, and the bell moves up as close as it can. The furnace moves up, exposing its rear to Lord Tremendous. That's how I knew Ratman was in there. But whatever. And that's it for movement. There's a better picture of that big old unit slamming into my trappers. And yes, my trappers are dead, but if he overruns just an inch, which is all he's going to really be able to do with those slaves there, I think I can get my mercs into the flank, and that's going to be glorious. During the magic phase, I don't remember what he uses, but he hits Rufus with something and does a wound to him in the magic phase. So that's not cool. You don't hurt Rufus, especially when he hasn't done anything to you yet. Not really. And then we go into combat. And yeah, this unit has no problem just eviscerating both of my trappers before they can even attack them. It's exactly the way it was supposed to go. I'm not upset. Since they are frenzied, they do overrun, and they go forward about an inch. I don't have a picture of it yet. You'll see one in a second. But it does expose them to my Merc Vets, which is exactly what I was hoping for. I'm very excited. So with that, we go over here to top of 3 after movement, and due to lack of options, my Bombardiers charge the Abomination and make it. My General tried to charge the Abomination and failed. I rolled Snake Eyes. I gotta be honest with you, the whole Berserk Khan thing has never worked out for me. He has never, ever, ever made up his points. So I'm actually kind of disenfranchised with the idea of him right now, which is too bad. He might get removed to the list. I have some ideas. But we'll see. We'll see. So now my Bombardiers are into the Abomination all by themselves with what they thought was going to be their general support. He only needed to roll an 8 people, and I rolled Snake Eyes. Ugh. Bad, General. Bad. His good old boys, though, they turn to face the slaves because I'm going to have to deal with them now. Which, again, it's not much of a threat. It's just time-consuming. But in the middle, that's where the magic happened. So as you can see, my mercenary veterans charged that big scary unit and made the charge no problem. And it's corner to corner. It's beautiful. Only one of my guys made it into base to base, which means I'll get 8 attacks plus impact hits plus a stomp. He'll get like one guy back. It's beautiful. And he can't make way because he's not hitting the front, he's in the flank. This is beautiful. I'm so pleased. Skaz and his Spazzes tried to charge the slaves that were in the forest. Yes, I know how to take a DT test, but I figured it was worth it to get into the slaves and kill them before they could do anything. But my opponent decided to flee with them. And flee he did. And as you can see, a bunch of them died to dangerous terrain checks going through the forest thanks to the trappers. Lord Tremendous charges the furnace in the rear because I wasn't going to bypass that opportunity. And I tried to send my cannon into the flank of it as well. It was a longer charge. I think I needed a 9 or a 10 in order to make it, and I didn't make it. Not a big deal. Not upset with the cannon about that at all. It was a long charge. Would have been nice. And I think with the charge in the rear and everything like that, Tremendous is going to be able to hold this unit for a turn or two until the cannon can make it in there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for movement. There's a better picture of Tremendous making the charge and a cannon failing. And here's a sexy picture of the Merc Vets slamming into the flank of whatever that unit is. Oh man, I was so proud of myself. It was all I could do to not just start cheering and setting off fireworks. And then I didn't want to go to jail for arson. And a better picture of Skaz and his Spazzes chasing off the slaves that were in the forest. So this has been a good turn for movement for me so far. And there's a better picture of the Bombardiers making it into the Abomination, and the General failing to make it into the Abomination. So, crap. Absolutely nothing happens in magic or shooting. So we go into combat, and of course I do this one first, and Ratman pops out. I knew he would. He issues a challenge. I don't have a choice. I have to accept it. And I'm pretty sure that's right, because he just has to be in the unit that's in base with the unit in order to issue and accept the challenge. So yeah, Ratman issued a challenge. I had to accept. And we start beating the crap out of each other. He does nothing to me, and I'm able to slip 1 wound onto him. So I have a charge, I have a rear, and I have a wound to his 3 ranks and a banner. He wins by musician, but I don't care. He wins by musician. I make my break check, and he forgets to turn to face me. So he stays with me in his rear, and I never thought I'd say those words together like that. Interesting. Over here, I attack and do, I think with my 8 attack, my impact hit wounds and kills a guy. My stomp wounds and kills a guy. Out of 8 attacks, I think 6 killed. And then, so I've got charge, 6 wounds, flank, super flank, banner, BSB to his 2 ranks, and a banner. Maybe a BSB, but I don't think so. I'm not 100% on that. Doesn't matter, because I think he needed like a 2 to stay, or 2 or 3 to stay. He doesn't. He breaks, and my Merc Vets run them the hell down. Oh, it was awesome. And yes, I took dangerous terrain checks of those guys going in the forest. They all passed. I was very happy. I know that his bell and everything is going to charge into their flank next turn. I'm totally okay with that because my Merc Vets have bodyguard. So unless he completely vapes my unit or kills my BSV somehow, I have a very good chance of making this break check. So bring it on, rodents. Bring it on. Over here, things go a lot better than I expected it to. My Bombardiers were actually able to do 2 wounds to this thing. In return, no, 2 or 3? I can't remember. It had to be 3. I think I did 3 wounds to this thing. I end up taking 3 wounds in return, so all I end up winning by is charge, so I win by 1. It's not that great. He takes his and he breaks, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I failed my break check, and he did. He rolled like a 9 or a 10. It was something insane, so I pursued. And I know the picture doesn't show it. We were just showing that we were being a little cinematic about it. But yeah, my Bombardiers actually end up running down the Abomination. So holy crap. They did something I fully expected to lose this unit, and they pulled it out even without the general. I got lucky as hell. So with that, we go over here to bottom of 3 after movement. His slaves decide not to charge my general, not to charge my good old boys, just continue to be a roadblock in there. His unit with the bell charges into the flank of my mercs, and I fully expected that. His unit of slaves that fled from a charge rally and then turn to face the mercs, and that's it for movement. Everything else he has is dead or in combat. There's a better picture of his Bell and his unit slamming into my Merc Vets, and I'm really relying heavily on Bodyguard to save me on this one. It's a rerollable 8, so I've got a chance. During his magic phase, he gets like 10 or 11 power dice, so I fire off the Demon Heart because he's well within 24 inches of Skaz. And I don't remember what he was trying to cast, but I was able to stop it. But he rolled doubles, and per the rules, check the FAQ, doubles is a miscast even if the spell doesn't go off. Only for Demon Heart, not for regular casting. So yeah, he ends up having to roll in the chart. He ends up miscasting 5. The result of that miscast ended up seeing, gosh, I don't remember, 4 or 5 of his guys die, and him losing 3 more dice, because I think it was only 3 dice that he used, and he rolled doubles on. So, hey, I'll take it. The spell didn't go off. He lost 3 more dice, and he lost 4 rats that are in combat with me. I like the Demon Heart. Then he tries to cast another spell with like 2 or 3 dice, rolls doubles, I stop it, and he ends up having to roll in the miscast chart because of the Demon Heart. This time he ends up rolling a miscast 10 and losing 1 wizard level. It was incredible. I'm telling you, anybody who plays ogres and doesn't take the Demon Heart is shortchanging themselves. It is the best arcane item in the game. If you're playing ogres, take the Demon Heart. You're welcome. He has no shooting, so we go into combat, and yeah, I'm able to, honestly, I think I get my ass kicked here. I don't take any damage, I don't think I do anything to Ratman, but I still have a rear to his 1, 2, 3 ranks and a banner. I lose by 2, I need a 7, and I make it. I think I roll a 7 exactly, so I was quite pleased about that. In combat over here, I don't do too bad, really. I do lose 2 of my Merc Vets, which is actually a lot less than I thought I was going to lose. I kill, 3, 6, 7 of his rats, so 7 plus Banner BSB to, what was it? He did 7 wounds to me. Charge, flank, super flank, and a banner. So he wins by 2, which is fine because I have bodyguard, rerollable 8s, and I make my break check. I do not, however, make my roll to turn and face him, so I'm stuck with him in my flank this next turn. So win some, lose some, at least they're not being run down, and I'll take that. So with this over, we go over here to top of 4 after movement, and there is some. Skaz and his Spazzes are going to try to pull the Merc Vets out of this one and charge into the Bell, and that's awesome, so they make it in there. My cannon finally makes it into the flank of whatever hell is pushing around the furnace, and that's awesome. I'm hoping impact hits and everything like that really make it happen. My general is stupid and decides to trundle through the forest because it's magical. Yay! The good old boys try to charge the slaves who flee, which actually I can't blame them. It's keeping me out of this fight with 100 points of slaves. He's keeping a 300 point unit out of the fight, so makes sense. Can't fault him for that. My bombardiers move over as far as they can, and that's really it for movement. Well, I guess my scraplings on the right flank there move up a little bit, but they can't do anything, so they're really just kind of stuck there. That's pretty much it for movement. There's a better picture of my Thunder Cannon slamming into the Furnace unit, and Skaz and his Spazzes slamming into the Bell unit. And there's a better picture of the good old boys failing to charge because the slaves fled, as well as the general being stupid if you look over to the left there. Outstanding, Berserk. During the magic phase, I get the stars align off on Skaz and his Spazzes, which gives them the ability to reroll to hit. Yes, I declared it as I was casting the spell. And then we go into combat. This one actually goes pretty well. Lord Tremendous is able to finish off Ratman, which is huge. I think I do 2 wounds to him or something like that. In return, my Thunder Cannon slams into the flank of this thing and is very underwhelming. I only do 1 impact hit. I do a couple of wounds to the unit, nothing big, nothing huge, unfortunately. My Thunder Cannon ends up taking a wound for its trouble, so in the end, I've got rear, flank, charge, and like 3 wounds to his 3 ranks, and the standard, I think he loses by 4, but he's not disrupted, I don't think. I know he's not disrupted. So he's steadfast and he makes his check no problem. But at least now the combat's starting to go my way. Then over here, we kill a handful more of the rats. They kill 1 tribesman and 1 more Merc Vet, and almost kill 2. In the end, though, I think I win this combat, but they're stubborn and they make their check no problem. So kind of a pain in the ass, but I'm going to have to kill them to a man. After combat was over and everything like that, it turned out my merc vets were completely out of combat, so they just kind of reformed a little bit to look at the slaves, who I know are coming after me next turn. Not exactly what I wanted to have happen. I would have preferred, you know, them to stay in this combat and help finish off the bell, but Skaz and the Spazzes are only one tribesman down. They should be able to finish this unit off, and that'll be huge. So hopefully, we'll see. So we go over here to bottom of 4 after movement, and there's not a ton. His slaves charge into my merc vets, and that's just them trying to commit suicide, because life of a slave is probably pretty awful. And the other unit of slaves that was fleeing rallies and turns to face the bombardier good old boys charge that they know is coming. Other than that, everything else he has is dead or in combat. So there's a better picture of his slaves slamming into my merc vets, and like I said, it's just they're tired of life, and I'll help them with that. And there's a better picture of his slave unit rallying, and good for them. Nothing at all happens in magic or shooting, so we go straight into combat, and things go left field here pretty bad. Lord Tremendous ends up in a challenge now with whatever the hell is on the furnace, and it's able to slip 2 wounds through on me. It's able to do another wound to my cannon. In return, I'm able to do maybe a wound at a furnace, maybe nothing. I think more likely nothing. But my cannon was able to kill a handful of the little rank and file rats, which was pretty good. In the end, I lose this combat. I do not remember by how much. I think like 2. My cannon does not make its brave check and flees, as you can see, but Lord Tremendous, true to his name, makes his brave check and is ready for the next round of combat. Thank God he stayed. And my opponent finally comes to his senses and turns to face Lord Tremendous, so I stopped having +2 combat res just for my positioning. He just forgot last time. He was kicking himself for it. It was, I felt a little bad for him, but, you know, he's a good sport. He was laughing about it the whole time. We go into combat over here with the mercs versus the slaves, and as you can see, like 7 slaves, I'm sorry, 7, 9, whatever. 7 slaves die, but in return, they're able to suffocate and murder my musician. So I've got 1 merc vet and 1 BSB left. I win this combat, they're fine, they're steadfast, and they make their check, no problem. So I go into combat with Skaz and the Spazzes and the Bell, right? We kill off the rest of the unit, and then I throw a bunch of attacks into his BSB. Well, his BSB takes 7 wounds, right? So I'm like, great, he's going to die. My opponent goes, okay, it's -1, he's got a 5-up armor. This is the roll that he made in order to stop the damn wound from going through. He took 1, and then he had 1 left. I only needed 1 of these to go through, and he took and made 7 armor saves. I couldn't believe it. But as irony would have it, I have stomps, and I was able to smash his little skull into the ground and finish him off. So it all worked out in the end, I guess. But irony, you are my frigid bitch. Because damn! I did not expect that. So, like I said, I guess it all worked out. Doesn't really matter how you get there. But, what the hell? 7 5-up armor saves. That was impressive to watch. I win this combat. He's stubborn, and he makes his check no problem. So I just kind of reform like a sewed, so I can better kick his ass next turn. So here's top of 5 after movement. The good old boys charge the slaves and make it. The bombardiers aren't going to do anything this game, so I just kind of leave them over on the left flank. There's not really any reason to try to maneuver them through anything. There's no way they're going to get into this game in a turn and a half a movement. My general, he just starts moseying his way back over to the right to try to convey his leadership to anybody who could use it, because that's the only role he's going to fill this game. Rufus, on the other hand, charges long distance into the rear of the furnace and makes it. Rufus, anybody who doubts Rufus should literally be thrown in jail, because Rufus is the keystone in this army. If Rufus survives, I'm going to beat you. Simple as that. Don't kill Rufus. My Thunder Cannon, on the other hand, has had enough of courage and is trying to flee off the table. He is literally at the table edge. If he doesn't rally next turn, he's off the board. Other than that, there really isn't any movement. There's a better picture of Rufus trying desperately to bail Lord Tremendous out of this mess he's gotten himself into. There's a better picture of the good old boys slamming into the slaves, and hey, I could use 100 points. During the magic phase, I get Blizzard off on the unit, -1 leadership, -1 to hit, and I think I get the Stars Align off on Lord Tremendous, allowing him to reroll failed to hits. I'm pretty sure that's what I get off on him. I'm not 100%. It might be reroll to wounds. I reroll something. I don't remember. It's not armor saves. There's literally nothing for me to shoot at, so we go into combat, and as you can see, the good old boys eviscerate about a third of the slave unit, a little over a third of the slave unit. They are steadfast, they do make their break check, but the fact that they're making the break checks make it all the better. We go into combat over here. I think I do a wound or two to this thing. I'm not 100%. It does one back to me. Rank, wound, banner to wound. I win. He's stubborn, and he makes his check. Little frustrating, but I think I'm going to be able to whittle him down before long. We go into combat over here, and my one remaining Merc and Khan do their absolute best and take no wounds, win this combat, and the slaves are steadfast and stay there, but I think they only kill like 6. So it's a slow type of process, but eventually I think we'll get them all. So we go over to combat in here, and Rufus eviscerates a whole bunch of these sons of guns. Ends up taking down like a rank and a half of them, which is absolutely outstanding. Lord Tremendous isn't able to do anything to the furnace, he just makes his saves, but in return he's not able to do anything to me. I make my saves. I win this combat by a lot, all because Rufus charged. I mean, charge, rear, super rear, like 6 wounds to nothing. I mean, a couple of ranks, 2-3 ranks, and a banner. I win this combat. He is steadfast, but thanks to Blizzard, he is at -1 leadership. There is no BSB, and he breaks because Rufus is the man. Oh my god. Rufus restrains pursuit and turns because he knows he's needed elsewhere. Lord Tremendous gives chase, but I fall a couple of inches shy. I think this thing ends up going like 10 inches, and I only pursue 8 or 9. So he does get away, but he's right there at the ragged edge, and Tremendous ain't done with him. I mean, go ahead and rally because he's going to charge in. He's gonna try to finish you off. I'm very, very pleased, and this is all thanks to the legend that is Rufus. So here we are at bottom of 5, and the only thing that happens at all is his unit that broke from Rufus had enough, and he did not rally them at all, and they fled off the table. I mean, there was really only one direction for them to go. So yeah, Rufus is a flippin' bona fide hero. I'm so pleased with him right now. Other than that, everything else he has is deader in combat. There's a better picture of all those points fleeing off the table. Those juicy, juicy points. There's no shooting or magic worth mentioning, so we go into combat, and my Merc Vet and Khan are able to finish off the slaves. They turn to face the bell, and that's just in the I don't know, off chance, I guess, that they have to charge in there and help Skaz and the Spazzes finish the damn thing off. Over here, the good old boys do the exact same thing. They do lose a tribesman for their trouble, but they beat the slaves half to death. They take their break check, they fail, and they explode. And I just had to leave the good old boys right here because it's not like they're going to do anything. It's bottom of 5. And then we go into combat over here, and it's a little painful. I lose a tribesman. I take 3 wounds. Or maybe just 1. I can't. No, it had to be at least 3. So I take like 3 wounds or something stupid. And I'm not able to do anything back. So I have a banner to his 3 wounds. I lose by 2. I'm not steadfast. Or maybe I am. I can't remember. But whatever happens, I take my break check with the BSB right there. And I break. And I get run down. God damn it, Skaz. Things were going too well. Skaz couldn't have it. He felt guilty for killing all the Vermin Swarm, and ended up giving the retreat order to his unit and getting them run down. And to make matters worse, Rufus failed his panic check and fled. God damn it, Skaz. So with that, we go over here to top of 6 after movement. Rufus does not rally, unfortunately, so I'm giving up half points for him. Lord Tremendous, not wanting to see Rufus get charged off the table at the bottom 6, dives in front of the bell. The way I see it, Rufus saved Lord Tremendous's life. So Lord Tremendous owes Rufus a life debt. So he charges in front of him. Yeah, I know Rufus is less points, but Rufus is my favorite. So he might be fleeing, but he's gonna live, and he's gonna be on the table at the end of the game if I can help it. Other than that, everything else mostly just stays where it's at because there's no point in moving. Yeah. Oh, and my cannon rallies. So that's something at least. Save those points. That's about it. There you go. There's a better picture of Rufus fleeing and my cannon rallying. So that's all right. Nothing else happens. So we go over here to bottom of 6. And the only thing that occurs is his furnace charges Lord Tremendous. I think it takes a wound or two going through the forest. I think it's at 5 wounds now. DT checks through the forest and he took a couple. But other than that, everything else he has is dead. So that's it for movement. There's a better picture of his bell slamming into Lord Tremendous. Lord Tremendous valiantly sacrificing his own life to save Rufus, and that's the way a hero does it. We go straight into combat. I don't take any damage from his impact hits or anything else. We go into fight, and Tremendous is able to slip that final wound through and kill him before he can do anything to me, thereby taking the last Vermin Sworm unit off the table. Lord Tremendous wins the day. And there it is, guys. There's the end of the game. As you can see, there is no rodents on this table whatsoever that are alive. There's a lot of dead. But it's good to know that the Tremendous tribe will be eating well on Vermin for the next few months. Yeah, we all know that this was a very handicapped list that I played against. It had no shooting whatsoever, which is one of the Vermin Swarm's huge strong suits. I know all you Vermin general out there right now are just turning around, freaking out, biting at your tails and everything. Well, calm down. He wanted to try something, and he has learned a vital lesson, so... but don't worry, we'll get to the recap in a minute, because right now, this game is over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Alrighty, as you can see, as you know already, this was a victory for Lord Tremendous. I was able to table my opponent at the bottom of turn 6, really at the last possible minute. I ended up losing Skaz, as always, Skaz's Spazzes, pretty much as always, Bow Wowser, my Trappers, half of my Merc Vets, or I gave up half points for my Merc Vets, and I gave up half points for Rufus. Other than that, it was kind of a low body count for me. I mean, losing Skaz and his Spazzes, that's actually kind of, par for the course. Gotta give it up to Lord Tremendous in this one, though. He really did an amazing job holding the Furnace unit in the rear like that for a long time, even outlasting the Thunder Cannon when it charged into the flank, and then holding on long enough for Rufus to come in there and save his ass. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rufus did amazing too, but Lord Tremendous is the one that actually finished the game by taking out both the Furnace unit, or helping to anyway, and finishing off the Bell. That was huge. Speaking of huge, that bait and switch on the heavy combat rat unit with his, whatever he was, the Tyrant in it or whatever, man, was that lucky. I was so pleased that worked out. My Mercs earned their paycheck this game. Taking them out, helping out, take out the Bell unit, and then taking out the unit of slaves. Merc's actually really, well, the one surviving Merc, he earned his paycheck. And damn it, Skaz, could you just survive one game, man? Could a game go by where you don't just give it up sweet? Come on, man. I thought we were on the same team. Bombardiers did really good in this game too, taking down the Abomination. I mean, their shooting is really not super impressing me anymore. But it never really did, I guess. I like the models a lot. They weren't terrible, but it's just... They did good in this game, though, and close combat of all places, taking the Abomination out like that. I know it was lucky as hell. I know it was a dice roll that went left field, but hey, I'm going to give credit where it's due. Gnome Runner took an amazingly weak list. Let's all be very clear on that. Like, he felt bad about something. I don't know. Maybe he tabled an innocent ogre army that was just trying to make a living. I don't know. But whatever it was, he can consider his debt to society paid and can start taking the big boy lists again. If nothing else, I would like people to take this as a great example of why a balanced list is super important. Because, wow. Although, this was a very fun list to play against, because, well, everything kind of went my way. But this was a very fun game. I mean, it had to suck to realize that the idea was not a good one for Gnome Runner. However, he was smiling, having a good time the whole time. Maybe he was just faking it, but I'd like to consider myself an expert on people faking it around me. I have been married for 10 years. This was an incredibly good game, incredibly fun opponent, and I'm really looking forward to our next game and seeing what he brings next, because I have a feeling I'm going to be seeing 3 Napta throwers and then like 3 units of Thunderhawks that carry Napta throwers. So, in all fairness, anything he does to me in our next game, I deserve. Real quick, I want to say a thank you to all the people that support me on Patreon and PayPal and other means of fiscal support that I receive. These are the individuals that allow me to thank them properly on my battle reports, and they are as follows: Alex of the Vale Renegades, South Florida's Gamermancy team, and Daniel Jolson. Everyone else that does won't allow me to thank them on the channel, and I respect that. I don't have a choice. They told me not to, and I'm not going to betray them. But if you want to help me out on PayPal or Patreon, or because you think I live a very sad life, feel free. You can do it through PayPal. Everything is connected in my description. Check my description. You'll find a zillion really cool links. But thank you, everybody. I really do appreciate it, and I hope I continue to be worthy of your patronage. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Battle Report number 38 is officially in the history books. I know by now some of you have noticed the Walking Dead intro sound that I've been playing. It is October. I love the holidays. You think I'm a kid because of Ninth Age? No, I'm a kid because of the holidays. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and all the free time off. Oh, favorite time of the year. So to celebrate that, I play dorky Walking Dead music in October. I'm trying to find some sort of Thanksgiving music in November and in December. If you have any holiday music clips or anything like that you'd like me to play, send them to me, because I love this time of year. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comments section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks.